Project Amanat Negara. My name is Yuan Tang, and I'm privileged to be here with Mr. Navin Sivanganam, consultant at EY UK London office. Thank you for being here with us, Mr.
Thank
Navin.
you.
Alright, so from what I understand, consultancy is a service provided by professionals who provide advice in a particular area. So for being part of this sector yourself, how important do you see your role in today's work?
So I feel the world of consulting is ever changing, right? And the good thing about being a consultant is because at the end of the day, you are seen as a trusted advisor. And the role of a trusted advisor is becoming more important as the days go by, because I think we are seeing an accelerated pace of change in everything that we do, right? Businesses today are changing faster than before, embracing new business models, being disrupted with new technologies. So I think more and more companies are going to start looking at consultants and asking them, hey, are we going down the right direction? How can we best do this? Or based on your years of experience of doing a certain implementation, are we going down the right direction? So I think the role of a consultant is becoming ever important.
I see. So if that's the case, do you see that consultancy has a potential in attracting new blood from youth?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think consultancy is a profession that is very driven by the youth. If you think about it, attrition rate in consulting firms are quite high. I mean, people join for various reasons, right? People join because they want a few years worth of experience and then they tend to leave and embark on what they want. But I think the beautiful thing about consulting is it teaches you a certain set of skills and tools that you can repurpose to whatever that you do, be it a professional world or your personal life. And I think more and more, we're always looking at the youth because the youth are very innovative. Right? They come with new ideas. And I think in this past few years, you're seeing the Gen Z join the workforce. And Gen Z work very differently, right? The way they think, the way they relate to different things, the way, what matters to them is so different. And I guess that sort of has a knockdown impact in terms of what's being produced from them. They are ever pushing boundaries.
I really like the insight about how you describe the younger generation now. But do you think that there are a certain set of skills that the youth should actually try to equip themselves starting from today in preparation of their future?
Yeah, sure. So I feel that, it all comes down to the basics, right? At the end of the day, if you're very inquisitive, that's a very good skill to have, a very good trait to have rather. Because only then can you keep asking more questions, challenging yourself to do something different. But I think also the other important thing to have is that you need to be very adaptable, because you need to be flexible being thrown into different situations, right? It might be very challenging, it might be something you've never done before, but more so it's how you respond to it, how you adapt to it, that becomes very important. But I think, lastly, we are inundated with so much of technology. Right? The way we interact with each other, the way we consume news, the way we consume information is so different. I think at the heart of it all, youth today need to be very cognizant of the people skills they have. And this is what's going to separate you from your peer.
Moving on from that, right? Many employers today actually find many fresh graduates to have unrealistic expectations about their starting pay or like the work environment. So what is your take on fresh graduates' attitude towards work?
So I think as a fresh graduate coming in, you're absolutely right. Youths today are very demanding. They're very demanding of the type of role that they're given. And I think it's not so much about salary these days, It's about the purpose. It's about being able to do something that is meaningful to them, that actually relates to their core values. And trust me, employers are doing so much to sort of meet this demand. It's not easy because, in today's workforce, you've got the baby boomers, you've got the Gen X, Gen Y, and now the Gen Z. So to accommodate all these different generations, so much that companies are doing, right? So I guess just coming back to your question, youths today, I think they crave a lot of purpose, they crave doing something that's meaningful. And as long as they do it for the right reasons, I think they're going down the right path.
That is really interesting insight. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Yeah.
So we know that you are an advisor and mentor at iCube UK. And obviously, you have participated in UK EC's Young Professional Mentoring Program as well. So you're evidently very invested in youths, in the Malaysian youths. So what motivates you to do so other than seeing the potential in them?
So I think for me, it's something very personal, right? Because if I look back at my time being in university, my time navigating university, coming out, getting my first job, then trying to pivot myself from audit to consulting, facing the difficulties of the workforce, so on, so forth. I always had good people to fall back to. I always had good advice, be it from my father or my mentors or someone very senior. So I feel that this should be continued on, right? And it shouldn't just stop at some point. So I feel it's something that, if you continue to practice and give back to society, it gives you a sense of meaning, gives you a sense of fulfillment. And this is the next generation of people that you're going to work with. These guys are going to join the workforce one day, right? At the end of the day, you're going to work with them. So if you build that bond, that relationship with them, and you also need to understand how they operate. If you have the understanding, I think together you can achieve greater things.
That is really inspiring, to be honest.
Thanks.
So I would really like to ask one more question. So brain drain is currently a huge problem in Malaysia.
Absolutely.
And since you are actually working in the UK now, so what advice would you give to students who are in the dilemma between working in the UK or in Malaysia?
Sure. So look, I think at the end of the day, it's what you make out of it, right? It just might be your circumstances that you get a job over here that you enjoy and, you spend a few years building your career and then it's up to you where you move. Or it might just be that, you have to have your first start in Malaysia. It doesn't matter at all, right? What matters is what you make out of it. Some people say, hey, just because I have to go back to Malaysia, my future is not as rosy as someone who would stay here in the UK. I don't believe that. Take for example, I studied in Australia. Everyone wanted to stay back in Australia, get a job. But the jobs that were coming through did not really fancy me. So I thought, hey, let's just go back to Malaysia and join PwC. But then, during my time at PwC, it's what I did to sort of pivot myself into what I wanted to do after that really mattered. How I went out to the different institutions and learned how things move, what people do, all those things really mattered. So at the end of the day, it's the powers in you. And if you embrace that well, you can be thrown anywhere in the world, you'll make it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Navin.
Nah,
this is Project Amanat Negara 2020, and thank you so much, Mr. Navin.